his agenda for today. First of all, we will give you an overview of Smart ID Plus flows and how to implement them secure, what's crucial points there. Alexander will cover this part. After this, we can also answer some questions. Then we will talk about integration and testing tools, documentation as well, how to use it to get the most value from it. And Ravani will cover this part. And also we have a separate section for user experience. As I also mentioned, this Smart ID Plus brings totally new user experience as well. And very important part also, top integration issues we will cover today. Some of them was received from your feedback during registration or from our support channels. And of course, maybe some questions will be sent today to this Q&A section as well. And as I mentioned already, in the end, there will be a live Q&A. So please send your questions, your blockers, some doubts. Hope that we will leave with answers today. So this is all from at the moment, and I will give word to Alexander.
Yep. Hello, I'm Alexander, or Sash, and thank you, Natalia, for the introduction. Let me just take control. Okay, so I will be giving you an general overview of the new flows in comparison to the old, and explain the important parts of the steps that provide more security than the old flows, because some of the new flows definitely improve the user experience, but more importantly, they provide more security against phishing attacks and social engineering. So the way the API works is still at a high level the same as it has for the last 9 years. You make an initial request to the endpoint to create a session. You get back a session ID. Then user interaction happens. Somehow the app gets opened. The user puts in their PIN, does some, checks the contents of the context of the transaction, puts in their PIN, and then you as an RP fetch the result from the session endpoint. This largely stays the same. However, the middle part, the user interaction and how that's achieved, there are new options now. Before we continue, so we differentiate between the same device and the cross-device use case. When we say same device, we mean the user is using the RP service, so for example, a website, or perhaps is using a banking app on the same device where the Smart ID app is installed. So usually that is just the phone. Could be a tablet as well, but mostly it's just the phone, as opposed to cross-device where it's a PC or Mac, and then the Smart ID app is obviously on a separate iOS or Android phone. Okay, so the old flow is still there. We call it the notification-based flow. This is where you make a request. The Smart ID backend sends a push notification message to the app or to the phone, or the user themselves just opens the app somehow because they know they don't have push notifications enabled, which is rare but still possible. And then they see the transaction, they put in their PIN, and you fetch the result. Now we have device link flows. So the device link flows replace the push notification. Instead of the notification to the phone going through the backend and somehow arriving at the phone, we do it via a link. I will explain the links a bit more, just a quick overview. And there are 3 distinct flows. The first is the QR code flow, and this is used for cross-device, where the user must open the app themselves and then scan the QR code to establish a connection. The other is web to app. This is used for same device, where the user just has to click a button and the app opens magically. There is no push notification. It just clicking the link or the button immediately opens the app. And app to app is very similar to web to app, but it's instead of going from a web browser, from a website, it comes from your RP app. All right. So the notification-based flow, it still exists. It's cross-device flow primarily now. though it can basically be used on the same device, we don't recommend that anymore. For phishing protection, because we're talking about security here, it relies on the user checking that the relying party name is correct, so the transaction details make sense, and there is a verification code. So the 4-digit number that the user is supposed to compare. And as an RP, you had the option of forcing the user to choose the correct code out of 3 so that they had to check it, which in the same device use case caused problems as well, because the users had to sometimes switch between apps. And not everybody could do that. And as for UX issues, obviously there's push message reliability issues. So if the push message doesn't arrive for whatever reasons, some users don't know that they can just open the app manually. All right, so that's the old world. And now we have device links. The device links are URLs. They are HTTPS URLs, HTTPS smartid.com device link. And they have some parameters attached to them. Those parameters, like the session token, basically link that transaction you created in the first request with the actual transaction. And the question now is, how do you get that link to the user, to the app? I won't explain all the parameters. Perhaps there are even some more, but I will explain a couple of them. So the auth code at the very end is really important because it protects the link against manipulation, against somebody changing it. And that auth code is something that you as an RP integrator will have to calculate, attach to that device link, and then present it to the user. The elapsed seconds one I will explain just a bit later. So, and just about the auth code. The auth code does not just include the device link itself, so the previous part, but it also protects, it includes in its calculation, which is a cryptographic calculation, you calculate an HMAC, it includes other parameters like the relying party name and also the interaction object, which is basically the display text and the text that you want the user to see, and other details. In a sense, this makes it so that you can make sure that whenever the app receives this device link, they will be able to verify what that link and whatever the Smart ID backend presents them do make sense, and this is what you as an RP want the user to see. So the app on itself, without relying on the backend, can verify data that you send out. Okay, and I will now go through the free flows, and maybe that it will make a bit more sense. So the QR code flow, for phishing protection, it still obviously relies on the name and transaction details you provide, but there is also this dynamic QR code. This QR code must be dynamic. The idea here is that when you display it on a website, an attacker, and a phishing attack, performing a phishing attack, may be able to copy it and then present it in their own context. And the phishing attacks that we protect against mainly here are called voice phishing attacks. So this is an attack where, imagine somebody calls the victim, tells them that they are from the police, from the insurance, the bank, tells them a story, a convincing story, and then tells them, and hey, now you have to put in your PIN 1 and now you have to put in your PIN 2 because we need to verify your whatever the fairy tale is that they tell them. With the dynamic QR code, this becomes much more difficult because now the victim would have to scan this QR code from a secondary device because they can't use the phone itself and they need to have it on a separate device, like on their PC now. And this is more difficult for the attacker to achieve. Not impossible, but still much more difficult. The trick with this QR code is it has to be dynamic so that you can't copy it and send it via email. We want this QR code to only be valid for a couple seconds, and this is checked. So we always need a fresh QR code to be generated, and then the Smart ID system will check how old that QR code that was scanned is. The way we do it is whenever you create this device link, which will in the end be encoded as a QR code, you add a parameter called elapsed seconds, which tells how many seconds have passed from the time when you received the initial response to the first RP API request. So you make that first. So when I said we have 3 steps, so the first step, you do the first step, and then you check how many seconds have passed from that and generate the link. So usually you start with the 0 or first second already. And you send it to the front end of your system because this link must be generated in your backend because it uses a secret that you will get to generate this HMAC, this auth code. And you can't put it to the front end because otherwise the attacker would copy it and generate their own device links. So this is really important. So you have to do the calculation, the generation of the link in the backend, and then send it to the front end. The front end can generate the QR code, but not the link, not the QR code content. And from the UX perspective, it is a new thing. So the users have to get used to the idea that they must open the Smart ID app themselves without prompting by a push notification, and then click the scan QR code button. Okay. Then there's web to app. So web to app is a bit different. It's still the same device link. It has a few parameters are different, identifying it as web to app. It does not have this elapsed seconds thing because instead of being dynamic, we have another protective measure. And this is a callback URL. So because this is the same device flow, at the end of the transaction, after the user has put in their pins, the Smart ID app can call a callback link and navigate back to your website. It's better UX, but also it provides a security guarantee where if this callback URL contains the correct elements and they are verified by the RP, then we can make this flow very secure against man-in-the-middle attacks. Meaning, even if the user puts in their PIN in a phishing attack where this link was copied, the attacker will not get access. So let's say you go to your bank, you try to go to a bank, you click a link that was provided by an attacker. They are trying to log in as you into the bank. You click it, you put in your PIN, something happens, but neither you nor the attacker will get in because some things just will not match. And I will get to the callback URL verification in a later slide as well, because it's really important. There are a few UX issues you might want to keep in mind. Whenever that callback link is called, a new browser tab is opened on the mobile browser of the user, which is not really a problem, but just to be aware of. Web views are not supported, or embedded views. So like from your if you open your if your website is open from like within Gmail, because we can't do a callback to that view. And for some browsers like Opera, when the user the first time they use this flow on any RP that supports it, they might get they will be redirected to a fallback page where they will be told that, hey, you need to enable the links, so app links or universal links for this browser. Most browsers by default support it. Opera, I know, requires additional configuration. It's mostly not a problem, but just to be aware of. And also because the callback URL is called, it will open in the default browser. So non-default browsers are not always supported. Not always is because in the very latest version of the Android app, it does support some non-default browsers. So there is a mechanism to detect which browser called it and called it initially and then navigate back to that browser. But it's not 100% guaranteed. And on iOS, it also never works. So the user should use their default browsers. Mostly it's not a problem. And finally, we have the app-to-app flow. The app-to-app flow from the security perspective is pretty much the same as web-to-app. The difference is that instead of a website, the user starts their navigation from another app, so like a banking app or whatever app you may have. They click a similar button that is actually a https smartid.com link, and the SmartID app opens, and there is a callback back to that app. To be able to do this callback, your app must implement Android app links or iOS universal links. These technologies are not, so these are the technologies the SmartID app itself uses for device links for them to launch. And in practice, this means you need to define a couple JSON files and put them up on the domain of basically on the web server of whatever domain that you will use for your app links. Yeah, and just a note, so this has to be Android app links or iOS universal links, meaning links that start with HTTPS. You can't use URI schemas. So this is links where the protocol name begins by a word that you define. So instead of HTTPS, it's like my app or something like this. It must be HTTPS. These technologies are a bit more secure. Okay. And there's a really important and convenient feature that is enabled by device links, by device link flows. It's what we call anonymous requests. Up until now, when you wanted to authenticate somebody or even create a signature, you always had to ask for their identifier, so usually their national identity number. They would put that in, or perhaps a username which you map to the identity number. And then you made a request, which enabled the SmartID backend to send the push notification to the correct phone. However, now with device links, where that link between your RP website or your RP app and the SmartID app is made locally via a device link, we don't strictly need that. So instead, you can do anonymous requests. The user is not asked to do anything. They just, in the same device use case, for example, or even the QR code, they just scan it without putting in any info to your website, first time visiting, perform the transaction, and you will get to know the user's identity from the certificate that you will receive when you do the verification of the transaction. Much better user experience, especially for the same device use case. You just go to the website, click login, the SmartID app pops up, and you're in. And I didn't explicitly say this out, but I did mention the verification codes in the notification flow. So these verification codes are now missing in these new device link flows because they are not really needed anymore. We've replaced that. Okay, so which flow to use? Rauni will later show you the documentation, and we have extensive documentation explaining what flow to use where and how. But the rule of thumb is, if it's the same device use case, use web to app or app to app as appropriate. And if it's cross-device, then use the QR code flow whenever you see a new device or a new browser for that specific user. And once you have identified them, right, you have done, for example, a successful authentication flow, identified that user, and now know that that browser and that user, they have gone through the QR code flow. Then after that, you can use the notification-based flow for other requests. So for example, for signing. So the user logs in with the QR code for authentication, but then you get a notification for signing a document or whatever the use case is. You can also later, if you have cookies, session cookies set, and you remember that this browser instance has used this for this specific person, you can also use a notification-based flow for authentication as well. That's the rule of thumb. There are perhaps some exceptions, and based on your use case, you want to modify that, but that's the general recommendation. But it is up to you. There is one, so this probably doesn't concern most of you, but just as a note, if your use case is such that you don't do authentication and you do signing only, so you don't know who the user is when you need to sign, and because you're creating a electronic signature, you need the certificate first, There is a flow which consists of 2 requests, just like now, which where there is a certificate choice request and then a signing request. And you can do that with the device link flow for the certificate choice, and then use a notification-based signing request, but they are linked. So for the end user, it still looks like a single request. The app doesn't close meanwhile, but there is a special hybrid flow that uses both a device link and notification-based flow. For most RPs, this is irrelevant, but just a note. It's all available. It's all explained in the documentation. Okay, and one very big change in this new API version is how authentication is done. Signing is very similar to the old versions, but authentication has changed. And the main change is that instead of signing just the RP challenge, so a challenge you generate and then check that it was signed by that user, which we call the RP challenge, the signature also contains other elements. I will not go through them all, but the point is that it's different, and it's really a special signature now that we call ACSPV2, Authentication Context Signing Protocol, perhaps. And it provides some, so it solves some security problems, and also it gives you certainty about what happened on the app, because the signature contains information what the app showed the user, so which display text was shown if you sent multiple options, and some other information. So that's a big change, and okay, and callback URL validation. So the app-to-app and web-to-app flows, they really are secure only if this callback URL is used correctly and validated correctly. If they're not, then those flows are not secure. And it's really important that you do this correctly. The 4 main points. So we do have a separate page explaining all this, but the 4 main points are that the callback URL that you choose, it must be unique for each transaction. So an attacker must not be able to predict what the callback URL will be, so that they would not be able to call it themselves. Second, you should verify that the callback URL is called in a browser or app that also started the initial session. This is the reason also why a non-default, so if the callback URL calls a different browser than the one where the session was started, then it should not work and it's not supported, because you must check that it's the same. Because that other browser might be somewhere else and the attacker, for example, right? The callback URL will also include some additional parameters that the Smart ID backend and the Smart ID app actually add to it, and you should verify those. Those provide additional security guarantees. And finally, whenever you receive a callback URL and you're able to tie it to a session, you should invalidate it and the old session, because the callback URL must only be valid once. Because again, you don't want the attacker to call it as well. Let's say they somehow are able to obtain it from the user and then call it themselves as well and also log into your service. So it should only be valid once. Right. Okay. So response and signature validation. In the new documentation, we have a page dedicated to how to validate the response and the signature thoroughly. It's definitely an upgrade from the previous version. It goes through all the steps, and I would just want to say that skipping steps is not allowed because it will lead to security incidents. We know some of our steps might seem redundant, but the way the protocol is designed is it's designed to be hard to attack. So if somebody in the future figures out some kind of attacks, some kind of avenues for, making something possible that we didn't think of now, those redundant steps will make those attacks much more difficult or impossible. So please follow the documentation. And sorry. And finally, there is another page which describes additional security measures that you can read about and consider implementing. These are optional, but please at least read them and see if that makes sense for your scenario. Right, and now we have a Q&A for this section. So if anybody wants to ask questions from me, now's the time. And do we already have something?
We don't have any questions in Q&A section, but maybe if you didn't have time to write, but you have some questions, or maybe something not clear from what was said, you can raise your hand and just ask. We'll give you opportunity to ask if you have a question.
Yeah, I know it was quite a lot actually in a short time, and but I hope I just wanted to iterate the important bits.
But yeah, maybe if you need time just to think through the questions, you still can use Q&A section, and we have Q&A time in the end of this event, so you can write your questions there. So okay, we have questions actually. Okay, is Iska planning to start offering public test accounts for new flows as well, similar to what has been available for the notification flow? Actually, we will cover this topic briefly later, but short answer is yes, and we already providing actually automatic test accounts for new flows as well. And we'll cover this later more. And the second question is, does the fact that you recommend to continue to use the notification flow for second requests mean that there are no plans to phase it out? Good question. Maybe I can answer it as well. So yes, this new API supports also notification flow. It's supported on this level, as already Alexander says already told about this, that we propose to use this as an additional way to identify user when it's already clear that you know this device is known and so on. In such cases, combined cases, we think it may provide some convenience to end users. At the moment, we don't have any plans to get rid of this way of interaction for users. But maybe we will somehow restrict in the future in which cases you can use it notification flow. But in general, technically, it is there in new API, and there's no any plans to remove it there. So I hope I answered
There's another question for you.
Okay. Oh yeah. It should update. Will it be possible to set up demo app for non-EE users? I'm not sure what country you mean. For example, we have also, of course, Latvian, Lithuanian users and Belgium as well at the moment. There are some also additional options how to set up user from different countries. Maybe I'm not sure how to answer to this question at the moment. We maybe need to check what possibilities we have at the moment. But definitely there are some options to use it for non-Estonian users as well. What about the what about the transition from old flow to the new flow from your experience? Is integration timeline is similar? How long the old flow is considered as secure? Yeah, about this timeline, of course, it's differs, and it depends a lot of the team, of the use case, because of course on notification or also sign in and what cases you will implement, what interaction methods on, depends. So yes, definitely. If you're talking about this old API, there was only one interaction method, notification flow, and now we have different. But yeah, so it depends. Actually, yeah, if you will implement all the different flows, it will take more time than just one notification flow. But we also have different integration tools to support this process and to make it quicker and more convenient. And we will cover this topic later. So hopefully you will find some tools that can provide this experience, to make this experience more smooth and quicker. So we had different actually feedbacks from the clients who implemented this. Someone from them were done in 4 days, for example, but for someone it would take weeks. So it very depends on experience
Perhaps
and cycles.
another way to ask this question is, when will the old version 1 and version 2 APIs be deprecated or closed? Can you answer that?
Okay. Okay, we still have some questions.
Natalia,
Yeah.
Can you say when the old APIs will be deprecated? Is there a plan?
I can see this question. I see this second question, how long the old flow is considered as secure. But old flow, I think you mean notification flow. So maybe we need to clarify. We have old API version 2 that supports only notification flow. This old version of API. This is one question, how long it will be supported. And also we have new API version that also includes notification flow. And as already answered before, we don't plan to remove notification from the new API. This about this old API version, version 2. We still don't have some specific date, but I can answer that yes, we have plans to deprecate these old APIs in some future, but I can't name this date at the moment to you. But just suggest please go over to the new API as fast as you can, because you will get also new interaction flows. You still can use notification flow as well there. But yeah, I hope you will implement it in a way as it was described by Alexander before. If you use notification flows, and you will use it together with cross-device flow.
Yeah. I will also answer the second question as well. So how long is the old flow considered as secure? It isn't. It simply isn't considered as secure. You should switch immediately if that's your question.
I would say that let's clarify that it's still secure on cryptographic level, on technology level.
Yeah.
But we all know that the weakest part of this process is the end user, who can be manipulated by some fraudsters. This is this weakest place. So itself on a technology level, it's not weak, but it's as strong as awareness of end user. And unfortunately, we know that these frauds are quite popular. So yeah, it says that notification flow without new device link flows not secure enough for phishing and social engineering attacks. Okay, we have a question.
We have 2 more.
Okay, have maybe 2 minutes more, then we can leave another questions to the end session.
So I'll answer the desktop view question perhaps. So if the user has set to desktop view, so Christian will later explain what you should do for the different situations. In that case, you will display probably the QR code. You can always have a additional button to navigate to the link-based version, or yeah. But Christian will later explain that.
Okay, yeah, it was. Yeah, and also about web view. So I think that we will leave these questions to answer by next presenters. At the moment, we will not start to
I will
cover
just
them.
confirm to what Joe said that yes, web views are not supported. That was one of my points, unfortunately, because you can't do a callback there. You should detect whether if it's a web view, you should direct the user to the standard browser before logging.
Hello. So I will try to share my screen. Let's see how that works. Okay, do you see my screen with smart ID documentation?
Yep.
Okay, very good. Okay, so I will try to do a brief overview of how this documentation is structured. I don't intend to read all of the documentation to all of you. That would take too long time, and that's not the purpose of this seminar. But I will rather try to guide where you can find information and how you should think about when you're reading it. So it is structured into three parts: smart data documentation, automated testing, and relying party API. So the block here below, relying party API, is the one that talks about the API structure itself. Top block, smart data documentation, gives all the information around it that is kind of surrounding it and is relevant for integration. And the middle block is concerned about automated testing. So if you land here on the Getting Started page, it directs you to one of the two places to try out how smart data works, which brings you to this page, or you will click here and then you will land in the ARP integration guide here. I will go more deep into this block soon, but I will first go over this top block to know what you have here and what you should look for. Okay, so try out smart data demo. This gives information how you should try it out and what you should look for. So I don't think I will go and talk anything more about this page. I think it's quite self-explanatory. So like if you try it out, this is where you start. Here are some information about the smart integration. So again, the whole API, this link takes you to here where the whole API is described. But here's some general information for you to know first. So environments, it talks about the technical parameters of the live and
Sorry,
demo.
somebody said that they don't see the screen.
Oh, okay.
In the chat.
Okay, so but says to use it, you see the screen?
No, I see it, yes. Others saying too, yes. So it's just Andrei who for some reason can't.
I think it might be a Teams issue that maybe you have like focused on my video or someone else's video and maybe need to unpin it and then you can see the screen.
We're 50-50 now, those who can and those who can't.
That's nice.
Ravi, maybe you can try to stop sharing and share it again as a
Yes,
first
I can try
measure.
to do that. Yeah, that's...
Because yeah, I also see.
Okay, I will try to share the window then. Maybe that works better for some reason. So, do you see the window now?
It's back for me.
Yes, please give your feedback if someone doesn't see this screen at the moment. Okay, seems like it's better.
No.
Black screen. Okay.
Okay.
Interesting.
It sounds like Mac users, no?
Probably.
But yeah, I don't know how to help in this case.
Yes.
Well, the recording will be available, so I hope this will cover it. Natalia, how do you think? Should we wait for a minute so maybe people can somehow fix the issue? Or
I don't think that it will be somehow itself solved. But I understand that for some who didn't see before, it's seen at the moment, but for some it's just black screen on Mac. Yes. Teams. No, Mac plus Teams app OK. So yeah, it's quite seems. Okay, so someone switched to Safari and worked here. So maybe another can also use this hint to try Safari. Okay, for someone Chrome works, Safari not working. Sorry, Mac users, it seems that for some of you it's quite tricky to get this shared screen in Teams. But yeah, I hope that you can try different options Chrome and Safari, and we can proceed at the moment because we don't have anything to do from our side, unfortunately. Because a lot of people confirm that seen, yes.
Yeah, do please try different browsers, and the last resort is to look at the recording if nothing else helps. So I will continue. So first, for a few minutes, I will just cover the top block anyway and not go very deep. Okay, so I was talking about the environments. So you have technical information about the environments that you will need to know already about Sash already talked about device link fallback page. So just give some information about that. What are the options that you can put there? What language is available for the fallback page? Then there's HTTPS pinning, which is necessary to make the request to our API. So please read that information here when we are at that stage of implementation. Client libraries. We hope that this will be extremely useful for implementation because even if you don't use them directly, you can compare the implementations and like maybe see something that you did would have done differently, then you can at least think about maybe you can find some ideas here. And as always, if you find any ideas that can be improved in any of these libraries, then please contact SK and let me know. All feedback about documentation and the libraries is very welcome. Here are suggestions. These are mainly related to UI and UX. But please take them, read them, take time to read them. It's important that there's like similar UI, UX in different places, different RPs. Well, and logos. Frequently asked questions. Again, we recommend to read and think. If you have any problems, then consult this. And if you think anything is missing here, also please give some ideas to escape. App release notes and contact, well, self-explanatory. So now I will move to this block relying part API, which like I want to get to most deepest bit, and later I will come back to automated testing part. So introduction. This page is aimed to all roles, programmers, analysts, product owners, anyone involved in the process who needs to understand how Smart ID works, implement or make some business decisions regarding it. It mostly covers what Sash already told. It just visually, again, I think repetition is good here. So device link is divided into 3 different categories. Cross device is QR code, and same device either web tab or app tab. And well, a very simple cross device flow. QR code is shown, it is scanned, PIN is entered, it's logged in. Well, this is as basic or high level as you can get. And same device, just illustrating that it's even more straightforward and direct. And here, if you're confused about the terms web tab and app tab, then these 2 sentences are aimed to help you, because web tab, you navigate from RP website to Smart ID app, and app tab, you navigate from RP app to Smart ID app. Of course, later you navigate back, so in that sense you would say it's like app to web as well, but web tab is the term that well, is used and is a common term that makes sense here. Here now, then key benefits device link flows are illustrated. If you ever need to sell to your manager why you should implement RP3, then here are the key points. Notification-based flows, again, just a visual illustration, nothing new here. And then we talk about which flows to prefer cross-device use cases, which is again what Sash already told. and basically the same recommendation that he gave. He just given in a table form, easy to understand, hopefully, that if you just do a QR code on a new device and then always continue using QR codes, then in a sense that's maximum protection against phishing attacks. But at the same time, like it's up to you to you can use the second row as well, where it's just first do a QR code and then a push notification. So that is also perfectly fine. So it's basically a user experience choice. Most like the first two are both considered secure and recommended. It's illustrated here. Yeah, so basically it's up to RP. So, but if you continue to use only notifications, then it's like a step backwards. Then you're like similar levels RPv2, and then there is unfortunately some phishing possibilities that unaware users might be caught at. So this is why it's not recommended. And which flows to prefer with the same device use cases. Here, as recommended, we recommend to always use the web.paraptop link because it has maximum protection against phishing attacks and best user experience. So it's the best of the both worlds. Of course, you could do that. You could do like a web.paraptop link first and then push notifications, but then it will be, I think, confusing for the users because like why was there redirection before? There isn't now, so we don't really recommend it. So both from security perspective and from user experience perspective. Well, and then this last option is just continue to use notifications always. Yeah, and then this last block just explains that what the different block these blocks mean, and it just kind of gives this cautionary word that Smart ID is designed to be as secure as possible, but we also like you need to be still thinking about the security models yourself and think what are the additional steps you can take. Well, these additional security measures are described here, and I think well, like take this as important to choose the flows that are secure and like suitable for your use cases. So that was about the introduction. Well, there is changelog. So we have been changing this recently. There have been small changes, nothing like there was a slightly bigger change some time ago. So SK will hopefully continue to inform as the changes roll out. And it is recommended to keep eye out on this page as well. But we don't intend to be there any like breaking changes if new things are rolled out. They're generally well, not breaking changes, but more like additions or minor changes depending on situation. But yes, there are still small and some bit bigger things that will change in the future. Okay, this page is extremely important for developers. So hopefully you have, as a developer, have received information from your analysts and architects and project managers, like which flows will be used. This has been discussed, it's been chosen. And now you need to implement. You need to understand which endpoints to use. The next page here, Open API specification. I will open that as well already. Gives information about these all endpoints, but you need to understand which endpoints to use. So we try to make it as simple as possible. This page is still quite like long in the sense that because there are like different use cases and different people need to use it differently, and it depends on which flows you have chosen. But we try to structure so it's as easy to read as we could. First of all, here are two useful diagrams. First one talks about authentication and which endpoints to use here. So do you want to use anonymous authentication or no, not? Then it directs you to use anonymous device links. And if not, then for re-authentication, there are like two options how to do it. And here, in the case of signature flows, there are like slightly more changes, slightly more choices. So first of all, the question is there any previous authentication signature certificate choice? So this now, if the answer is no, then basically you're doing signing without previous authentication, which Sash was talking about, which majority of RPs do not do. But for example, if you are implementing DigiDoc, there you don't have authentication before signing, then you choose this branch of this documentation, or like these endpoints. But most cases you will have some previous authentication, then and question is signing certificate, is it required? Usually it is, then this block will be helpful for you. And this all is explained here in more details below. So I will just scroll up a bit. Yeah, so this block here just explains these endpoints which are in OpenAPI, how they're structured, how you can find what is needed. So please read that when you're at that stage. And this note, just again, once more for repetition, just says that it is recommended to only use device link-based flows only you have successfully completed the device link-based flow beforehand on that device. So again, no, sorry, I read that and misread it. So it's recommended to only use device link-based flows or only allow notification-based flows on device and browser that have successfully completed the device link-based flow beforehand. Yeah. And now about this navigation here. So if you're like thinking about authentication, then here for device link-based authentication, here are different endpoints that can be used. So please read that and consider that. And for notification-based authentication, here are the endpoints that can be used. Now, if you go here, the OpenAPI specification, then there are two ways to navigate this page. I will talk about signing in just a moment again. I just want to show for authentication how it looks in OpenAPI specification and how you can find things. So let's say you have understood you want to use this endpoint, just an example. Then if your authentication session here, then these are listed here. Then you can find the endpoint name here, and you click on it, and you are navigated to this this endpoint. Or you can use this human readable descriptions here to also navigate. So two options to navigate in authentication session. And this is standard OpenAPI specification. You have parameters which are described, a general description of an endpoint, and then there are responses, and there is expensive documentation for the response endpoints as well. And also for error cases, there is the description of the error structure that is also new in RPv3 that is also intended to help the integrators. Going back to this overview, for signing, this is structured a bit different. It's signing with prior authentication and without prior authentication. So again, what we talked about. So if you're doing signing with prior authentication, the description is here. It describes which endpoints to use, getting a certificate, doing the device link-based query or notification-based query. And again, it's fairly similar. You go here, you open the signature session. Endpoints, there are slightly more endpoints here because there are more options, but they are, well, I think you will be able to find the correct ones here. And similarly, if you, so if you click here, you see the options are described here. And if you click on the one that you're interested in, you will be brought to that place. And finally, there is session endpoint. So regardless if you're doing authentication or signature or any of the flows there, options there, you will get the session status here in the session endpoint. Here is only one endpoint, and the response will somewhat depend on which kind of flow you chose. So that was like a run through of the API, and I don't think there's any point in going any deeper, but I hope it was at least some point helpful. Now let's see the other pages. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I'm not looking at the questions right away, but I will look at the end of my session. So device link flows. So this is the main page describing everything about the device link flows. It's new here. This, first of all, is given like an overview how it happens in a more technical sense, more detailed. And then there is this important block which describes like if you are doing flows of if you have both if you want to show both QR code and provide a web app link, for example, because if you don't know where the user is it on a mobile browser or a PC? If you cannot detect it for some reason, then a single request can be made, and then this single request gives all the information to show both of the both options, QR code and the device link, the web app link. And then there are some diagrams that aim to clarify how it works, what is the structure. So hopefully these are useful, but I'm not going to stay on them any longer. And then device link calculation. Again, I'm not going to go through like all the parameters and everything. It would take too much time and it's needed. But for it, there are code examples how to calculate parameters. Like so, same device flows. Just says it's URL. It says how it's structured. Gives an example of web app and app app links for different cases, authentication sessions, and certificate choice, just examples to go by. And then there is some talk about cross-device flows. And again, in various languages, just example, like how it's constructed, example, and a visual example, how it looks like. And there is some information here in the end about how to present this QR code. So, device link parameters. Just again talks about what the parameters are, again technical information, and the most important of these parameters then, or most complicated, is the auth code parameter. So there is a separate page how to calculate this auth code calculation. So as Sash already explained, for example, this web app link, if we go here to see one example of it, it starts start.id.com, device link, there is some information, these parameters that I just showed, and then everything until the point of auth code. And if we go to this page, then this auth code is calculated from everything preceding it, plus some additional parameters. So as I explained, this helps to ensure that there is no link tampering in any way or form. Okay, and then auth code calculation. I will come back to device link flows page and talk about these last sections, but I will just talk about auth code calculation a bit, so that it's because I already started talking about it. So auth code calculation page, it's just mostly technical information. It talks about what the parameters are. There's a separate section for each parameter. It shows if you have these parameters, some example code, how do you obtain this this full link. So this is yeah, the auth code is calculated based on this link and this session secret, and this auth code parameter is then appended to the URL. So you have full URL. See if I have an example here or not. Well, in the end there is example here. So for example, if you have unprotected device link, which is without this auth code parameter, you can always just calculate compare auth code to get an example of how the full the auth code works, and the auth code is appended to this link. So yeah, so please read this page, use this calculate and comparator. This is intended as a like a helpful tool, so that you can try to see if like your implementation produces the same result or not, and if not, then what could be the case. So this is also in the end is like if you click this calculate and compare auth code, this payload is shown that is used for calculation. You may want to compare your implementation and see if this payload before the calculation is exactly the same or not, because this might help you point to where the mistake may be if the auth code is not coming out correctly. But okay, now I went quite deeply in this, so we'll jump out of that, back to device link flows page. I was talking about device link parameters and the auth code. So I will skip the descriptions here. Again, there's just examples where if you need to calculate something, there are like different code examples. One important block as well is parameter visibility. So now this is something, well, both an architect and then developer should think about. So which parameters may be shown in a front end? Doesn't matter if it's like an app or a mobile browser front end or a desktop browser front end, anything where the code and what's happening in the belly is visible to a potential hacker. So there are some parameters which should never be leaked, mainly session secret. So example of how like a mistake that could be made, which is a secret. If, for example, you would want to start assembling the QR code in a front page, and you send all the parameters to a front end, calculate them there, and say that, okay, now calculate the QR code for me. Then you would have leaked the session secret, which means that the attacker can do anything they want with your web page and like authenticate users for you, or calculate the QR codes like they themselves that they can show to the user easily. Now, yeah, so so there is a note actually about the same thing here, which says that QR code image can be calculated. Like if you calculate the message that goes into QR code, for example, this, then this can be done. This must be done in the backend, but the image from it can be also calculated in the front end. Okay, let's see if I missed anything. Yeah, this was the parameter visibility page, and here is the fallback page. Information about the fallback page, but this is also described here as well. So it duplicates a bit. Okay, so here is information about device links and how to present it as QR code. This is now something that is interesting, well, to programmers, but also UI, UX designers. So now looking at this page, I think maybe should be brought out to a separate page so it's more visible to other roles as well who want to know this information. So this is about how large or small the QR code should be presented and what the error correction level should be used. So there are comments about that. And one example of a QR code. So you can test out different size of QR codes. You write out, well, you have an example link. You can use your own or what was like provided above, width, height, error correction, and you will see how big it is. So this is useful for UI, UX designers and analysts. Okay. Yeah, so that's about device link flows. So this is the most longest and most involved page in the documentation. So if my talk is tiring you, then we're kind of over the hill. So that's good. So notification-based flows, they're, as I said, was described similar to what was in RPv2. So they're simple, but there are problems, as you know. So here they are. So as said, like don't use them in an untrusted browser or untrusted browser. So just do the first verification at least with the device link. That's the minimum. Now API technical description. This is something that is important, but it's like more like additional info about the API. Things that you should know, but you don't need to. Well, you should first understand how everything, like get the big picture, how everything works, and then add this information to your brain as well, so that it helps you to implement correctly. About interactions, there are currently the interactions are quite similar to how it was in RP2. The one interaction is less. There are plans for that there might be future interactions as well, but this is something that SKI will decide and announce at a later date if it comes. And
I
yes.
apologize, but we have too much time already spent for this topic. I think that this documentation is something that most important topics I believe that you already covered here. And if some specific questions maybe our attendees have. They can ask about documentation and how to use it. But I think that at the moment we can proceed with next topics already.
So if I could take maybe 1 more minute.
Okay, 1 more minute.
Okay, thank you. So signature protocol, so interactions, so like information here is important for how it's used in the auth code calculation. So the technical information is also here. And signature protocols, this is what Sash mentioned. This is that it describes how the protocol works. So just please read that. And callback URLs is also something that please take like time to read very carefully and implement everything correctly. Because as I explained, if like some steps are omitted here, it can lead to security issues. So this is something that I recommend to focus on carefully. And response verification page is also extremely important. It describes, we try to make it like a easy to follow list of steps that you need to verify. It's quite long, but as I said, please take it seriously. And also example implementations are also very useful. And additional security measures is also page, as I already mentioned. This describes the page's information that like it's not strictly part of the API, but these are like suggestions that might be relevant or critical depending on your scenarios and use cases, and to please at least read them and consider. So this is again, so if some of these pages were very technical, like deep details, then I would say that these callback URLs and additional security measures are like if you're just like an analyst who doesn't go very deep into like technical details but want to make some analysis decisions, then I think you should consider these pages as well. Okay, that's all for me, and sorry for taking so long. Go to deep.
Thank you, Ronnie. At least now no one can say that they didn't see something in documentation. So I hope that now everyone can find valuable and needed information from integration guide and from OpenAPI specification as well. I now very briefly will cover some this demo environment topic maybe. I really hope that people will see this. Also, these mock users, but just briefly cover that. Yes, there was already a question about mock accounts. But first of all, emphasize that please use this version-free endpoints now only for this new API, and we have different parameters here for production and from demo environment. And what is actually important as well here, this scheme name that is used in auth code calculation. So sometimes it's some blocker for some integrators. Be careful that for production and for demo environment you should use different values here. So for production smart ID and for demo environment smart ID demo, and as well for demo environment we have this Reliant party publicly available for everyone. So you don't need to register somehow specifically to try a new API. You can use all these parameters we have here. And also, as Rosie asked about our test accounts for new device link flows. Yes, we have this notification flows as we had previously, it was already mentioned, but for these new device link flows, we really have this public mock account numbers available. Unfortunately, at the moment, public available only for successful results, but we will publish in the near future also for some negative cases, for example, timeout or some other results. But at least for successful flow, you can use these accounts. But maybe it's also a question how you can use them for device link flows. And Yeah, and I don't know, maybe if someone is not aware, you also can try out a section here, how to try to test with demo accounts, to test end-to-end flow. So it's the easiest way to test integration using real device and Smart ID demo applications. And here all this information, how you can register and get this account for you. But for some automatic tests, you need these test accounts, and we created for this new API new mock endpoints for device links. And I give word back to Rauni actually to talk about this service, how this mock service works with new device links.
Thank you.
Yep.
Can you see my screen?
I can.
Okay. So I will not go very deep this time. The box service is described here in the introduction page. We try to give like an overview here, how it works. So, essentially, it provides a tool how to test your services without user needing to input any PIN or do any client steps. So, client part is mocked. In previous version of our API, notification flows were also mocked, so there is nothing new here. It's just similar how it worked. We just have provided some example diagrams explaining how it works and just explaining a bit more. For device links, there is one more. There's a slight problem of mocking, which makes this architecture a bit more complicated, which I would like to clarify, which also we clarify in this page, but hopefully you can here also verbally do it. So, device link flow consists of this step of user scanning a QR code or clicking on a web app or app link. So, in the mock flow, the request is initially made. So here are some diagrams which are illustrating exactly what I'm talking about. So I will concentrate on this mock diagram. Oh, I can show both. Okay. So the flow starts by making a request to RP API, similarly as in a real case. Now, what is the difference is this QR code or web app or app tab, this device link, must be sent via separate endpoint because RP API doesn't have this endpoint, and this is like a mock-only endpoint. So you have to make a separate request and send this device link, and then the flow continues. So this device link endpoint is described here. So this is this interface is only useful if you're for device link flows. For notification-based flows, it's not needed. You just do an RP request in the demo server as previously. But for device link flows, you use this endpoint. So in this API description, there is only one endpoint. This API endpoint for submitting device links to the automated testing interface. So first, you make a request to RP API. Second, you make the request here. And third, you will get the result from RP API as previously. And if you're testing web app or app tab flows, then callback will be made also. So you will provide this callback URL to your demo server. And just like a slight word of warning, I have heard that there have been some problems with this web app links here in this testing service. So if you have problems, then you probably have stumbled on a known problem and it is being worked on. Yeah, so this is what I wanted to say about this mock interface. So yeah, 3 steps. First, RP API. Second, this endpoint for device links. And third, you get the result in the session endpoint as usual. And about these test accounts, yeah, as Natalia already mentioned, currently there's a lock. So work is being done to have the other flows added here. And also we're actively working to work on the reliability and speed and about to make it more usable and better. So it is also work in progress. So that's it about this topic. So back to you, Natalia.
Thank you. I will then share again our presentation and hope that I will find the right place to proceed. Okay, we need to scroll a bit. Okay, I will talk about some additional integration tooling. So you have already overview about our documentation, Open API, and also automated testing possibilities. But some other options, at least for some technology stacks, we have. First of all, we have SmartID Java client. So Java, people using Java, it's for you. And we have this Java client supporting this new API. This is official SDK for API and available on in Maven repository, official, and has a lot of different utilities also in it. It covers actually all mentioned flows and combination of flows actually. So it supports authentication, both device link authentication, so it means QR code and web to app and app to app, and also notification based authentication, and also works for anonymous authentication when you don't know who is logging in without identifier and with known document number or identifier. It also supports sign-in and sign-in with pre-authentication, without pre-authentication. So it means with this combined flows, as was mentioned in the beginning of the webinar, when device link certification choice linked to notification-based signature and in other cases. So all possible combinations covered by this client library and very convenient to use for all different cases and flows. And additionally, it also provides some extras, making it even more convenient to make integration. For example, this device link builder for you. It also includes this outcode calculation already tested and controlled for you, so it's made correctly. And also verification code calculation for this notification flow. Also callback URL generation and verification for web to app and app to app flows, and also response validation with all our required validations that were listed in our documentation. So actually, this excellent tool, if you use Java stack, let's take it into use, because it's really simple to integrate with it. It's already everything almost done for you, and has all different descriptions and examples how to implement it. And on top of it, for Java, we have also SmartID Java demo. It's also available in our GitHub space. It uses this mentioned SmartID Java client library and demonstrates how to use it end-to-end. Covers again authentication and sign-in. Even gives overview how to fetch sign-in certificate and sign using Digidog4j. So it's easy case for you sign-in. So please take a look on our demo application. And it's very easy to run locally. And also you can test this when web to app and app to app flows there, and there are description and instructions how to do it using some tunnel. So yeah, we'll share also this GitHub links to the chats later, so you can take a look if you haven't yet. It's about Java then, and we also have SmartID PHP client. We also received some questions about support of new API in PHP client. And good news, almost 2 weeks ago, we published this new version that supports new API, supports SmartID Plus. And of course, it covers only authentication flows, and QR code and web to app and notification flows are covered there. And it also provides some handy utilities and tools like generating device links, creating and validating callback URLs again, validating notification response, including OCSP, certificate revocation check. So again, everything that you need if you're using PHP stack covered there. So please use it. Okay, I think that there's no questions related to this specific topic, that maybe we can cover them later during Q&A section, and some of them will be covered by Kristen in the next section that actually about user experience. So some, I believe some topics about web to app, web use and so on will be covered by Kristen, hopefully. Yes? Kristen, I give word to you.
Okay, thank you. Hello. Okay, then. So we have talked today about security, and sometimes it happens that we need to sacrifice good user experience due to that. So I'm going to give some pointers for you so that this user experience would be good. First of all, those new flows introduce new options for the end user. And the first thing which is different from the previous API version is that you need to detect end user's device and provide login options based on the device. In mobile and tablet, there are basically two options. To use it in the same device, or the Smart ID app is on the other device, which is cross-device. And our suggestion is to use default options for mobile and tablet differently. So there are not so many Smart ID users that are using tablets. You should note that I think this was in questions as well. You should note that when user is asking for desktop site from the mobile device, then this user agent value is changed, and you need to be careful when relying on user agent value only. So there should be tools out there to be detect what device is used by the end user. Now a bit for the same device flow. So as the documentation showed in the picture, that looks quite simple. You just select the Open Smart ID app from the RP webpage. App opens, user enters PIN, and user is redirected back. But there are some things I want you to notice. There are cases where user can move back to the login page without doing any interaction in Smart ID. In that case, you should show meaningful message. For example, authenticating, finish authentication in Smart ID app. And there are some other cases where a user doesn't end up in the Smart ID app. It has been covered previously already. User may end up in the fallback page. And this fallback page itself gives the end user some known cases why it could be so. One of them is Smart ID app is not installed or uses very old app version, or browser needs some additional configuration for universal and app links to work. We maintain that page and update as best we could to give end users instructions they should follow. Also, when you are constructing this device link, there is a language parameter, and this fallback page supports 7 languages: English, Estonian, Russian, Lithuanian, Latvian, Dutch, French, and German. So use the correct language so that the user would get this information in their own language. What could go wrong when user is returning back from the app? As mentioned, this session validation part is very crucial and needs to be done correctly. Still, there are cases where this validation might fail, not due to the wrong implementation, but due to the other things. For example, as mentioned earlier, those links won't work, or this redirection to this it doesn't work when the user is using web browser from embed, which is embedded in the app. Also, non-default browser on iOS devices and incognito and private modes are also the cases here. So give the user some information on that so that they could do the better, they could successfully authenticate. Okay. And some words about cross-device flow. Again, in this picture, all looks simple, and but one thing is that which is changing for the end user is that in that flow, user needs to find the phone and open app themselves. We have provided in the app, Android app, there is a shortcut link for the users. They could add in the desktop to enter directly to the QR scanning mode, and widget in iOS also. But still, they are new things, and users currently don't know that. So give information for the user that this QR code needs to be scanned with Smart ID app. Regarding this QR code, as it was mentioned earlier, this is dynamic and needs to be updated every second. Currently, our suggestion is to update this QR code over 60-second period, because end user needs to have some time to finish the transaction in the app itself. So it doesn't make sense to refresh that QR code until the end of the session. And again, give information on that to start. If the QR code was scanned already, just to finish the transaction in the app, or if not, start the transaction again with a new session. And I think that's all from me.
Thank you, Christian. I see that some question already was answered about this web view in this Q&A session, but also a question maybe that you can answer, because partially it's about Smart ID app, about HTTPS pinning. It is clear what it's used for, but taking into account the SSL lifespan is shrinking, and releasing mobile app where stores can take time, this can be with some impacts to end users. Can you please comment this pinning topic?
Yeah, okay. Actually, this HTTPS pinning is towards RP API endpoint as well currently, which is just to pin it for additional security. We know that this SSL certificate lifetime is shrinking, and definitely we change according to it. So I don't give you, let's say, concrete answer right now, but definitely will make changes on this pinning part as well. Regards that, what is our suggestion to you?
Let's see that some was already answered questions, maybe some another questions about user experience specifically. About app, again, maybe not user experience, but still a question. Currently, it's not possible to create a qualified account in the Smart ID demo app using IDEMIA ID card with NFC or mobile ID. Are there any plans to support Thales cards in the future?
Okay, yeah, I can answer that as well. So we are changing ID card registration, and currently we are changing this for Estonian ID cards. And in demo, yes, the option is to use NFC registration. I'm not aware of the thing that it doesn't support Thales card. It should support both of them. I have a known issue with iOS 26.4 operating system, where this NFC support had some issues, and we are updating app already. It's not published yet, but will be soon.
Actually, short answer is it should be supported actually as
yes,
well as ID records.
Yes.
So maybe check some versions and so on, but in general, yeah, for all cards should be supported where it's option. Okay, so answered questions. Yeah, Oscar's questions already answered by Alexander in the Q&A section about QR code fraudulent check. So yes, actually, the main our message to end users is please always use Smart ID application to scan QR code that pretends to be Smart ID QR code, because even if it's some fraud QR codes and it's scanned with Smart ID app, nothing happens. There are no any reasons to add some additional check for this. Okay, let's check if we have other questions. Mm-hmm. There are some more general question. I think that we will leave it to the end. And now, new posts. Okay, sorry, I will check update. Okay, I think that we can proceed with our last topic. Thank you very much, Kristen. And our last topic is top integration issues. So again, it was based on our support tickets and also on registration form we received from registration. And Rauni covers some most popular, let's say, issues that integrators have while implementing Smart ID Plus.
Yes, thank you. Do you see my screen? Not screen, but okay, next slide. Okay, top integration issues. I don't think I will take too much time. Maybe like we'll try to make it quick because I want to make sure that we have sufficient time for the Q&A session. So there's this tool for finding mistakes in auth code calculation. So actually I already showed it. It was this auth code calculator and comparator. And then so one of the common mistakes there with this auth code calculation is about RP name. We have heard that people have made mistakes with it. So one of the issues there could be that RP name, although you have to pre-register it, you could potentially change the capitalization. This is allowed. For example, you might have like RP name in uppercase first letter or lowercase, so you can change it. So if you send an RP request in one way, for example, with the lowercase letter, and then try to verify the auth code or calculate the auth code with the uppercase letter, then that would be a mismatch in the calculation. So make sure that byte by byte it's the same in both original request and in the auth code calculation and ACSP v2 verification. So that goes for all parameters, but this is something that is easy to miss. So one more thing for auth code calculation, there was this tool. So we had thoughts maybe we should add a similar thing for this ACP v2 page as well, but we ain't sure. So that's basically an open question. So there will be a survey later. So if you think it's important, you can note it there. About we have received some questions about how to properly validate the response. So we always guide again this response verification page, and well, you should implement all of the checks there, as I already explained. And of course, make use of the example implementations. Compare your code base to it. That's already something that we covered. And there was some thoughts about what the response verification page as well, that it's not so easy to it's not easy to verify yourself if you have implemented all the checks there correctly. So we're thinking that maybe if there were like test cases to help to check that as well, like specific points there, more crucial points, then that could be potentially used for RPs. So we are thinking about maybe in future adding that. So like you can in the survey either comment your thoughts about this as well. And now about the session lifecycle handling in WebTap flow. There is like a specific point I would like to bring out because it's also something that it's maybe easy to make mistakes with. So when user has entered the PIN and the signature is formed in the WebTap flow, two things happen. First of all, session result becomes available from polling, and user is taken back to the browser or app to the callback link. So, and both of them contain parameters which should be verified. Session result has some certain parameters that need to be verified, and the callback link has some security critical parameters, and the cookie validation must happen. So integrator might have a question, which check should be done first, on the session side or on the callback link? So answer is, it doesn't matter. They can be done in either way. The main point is that RP can count this authentication as successful only after all of the checks have been done for the session result and callback link. And since you will probably be waiting for the polling result, you don't really know which happens first. Does the callback link arrive first or the polling? So you need to build architecture corresponding that you don't know which happens actually first. So this is a bit thing to keep in mind. And if there are any more questions about that, then please write and I will be happy to answer. And last point that I would like to bring out, this is about now this algorithm that used. So PKCS 1.5 signature scheme is considered legacy. So it's strongly recommended to move to RC SSA. So this is not just for RP3, this is like generally where the ecosystem is moving to. Initially, it was planned that RP3 would not support PKCS, but then we realized that this is not possible because there are some cases where RPs cannot support RCPSS yet. And notable examples are Digidoc for J and ADOC format used in Lithuania. So in these cases, PKCS is then allowed for signing. But if possible at all, please use RCPSS because PKCS will be deprecated at some point, both by European standards and in RP3. And from security perspective, also RCPSS is much more hardened protocol and should be used going forward. Okay, but that's all from me. So I will give a word back and we'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Raoni, for overview. And we'll check if you have some new questions or maybe some integration issues from attendees that you want to solve somehow. But we have some more general question that already answered by Alexander in the Q&A session, but maybe also comment on it as well, because it's quite asked for 5 short, clear reasons why it is beneficial migrate to these new flows. So yeah, security perspective. The claims here that current integrations are working and they are stable. Yes, they are working, they are stable, and we also heard maybe also experience this fraud cases with social engineering. It actually, unfortunately, works. So why we decided to implement all these new interaction methods, one of the reasons was this social engineering phishing fraud wave, let's say, let's name it as it. And yes, for end user, it means new experience, but new doesn't mean something bad, actually. If we are talking about same device flows, app to app and web to app, it's actually more convenient for end user. There's no need to input personal code. There's no need to compare verification codes. Yes, a lot of users don't compare it actually, and it's not secure at all. So it is a part that's now on end users, and quite usually they don't do it. And in device link flows, same device link flows, it's done automatically in background, so it makes it more secure and actually more convenient for users, because less actions, no need to input something, no need to compare verification codes. So from this perspective, I think that same device flows really better from different perspective, from security and from user experience as well. But yes, we have this QR code case. It's really something new and game-changing for end users. But as we already mentioned here in this webinar, there are also some compromises. So of course you can use QR code only on new devices, new browsers, phone users. And then for some period of time, you just can call notification flow already storing this identification data of the user. So it will be still even more convenient because on this and other cases, user don't need to input personal code, for example, or again, compare verification codes. So yeah, no some input errors for personal code, for example. So yeah, development costs and again, not only this interaction methods was that we actually updated cryptography in this new API. So it's more modern, and this old API not only outdated in the case of in point of view of this notification flow, but also about cryptography. So yes, it will be deprecated in some period of time. So why we suggest to already now take this journey and take into use a new API. And
I tried to
Mhm.
write down what you said. I will put an answer there, so everyone will have it in written form.
We already have a question from Alexandra there, so I think it's covered actually. But there was some questions, I think, to Christian about accessibility regarding QR code experience. Christian, just for information, there was information that on st.e website, visually impaired users have experienced issues accessing the site when using a computer phone flow. So maybe you can comment what we have studied maybe about this, or do we have some plans how to make some guidelines to our pace in these cases, for example, for impaired users?
Yeah, I wrote down the answer as well, but quick comment on that. Yes,
Okay.
of course, this cross-device flow is challenging for visually impaired people because where to hold the phone to scan the QR code. So I would say there is not much to do on that part. Definitely, Smart ID app, we are improving already so that the app itself would work with all those additional tools that are available for visually impaired people. And basically, my suggestion is in that scenario to use same device as much as possible, because there the user experience should be much better than previously.
Thanks. I posted just to the chat link to a survey, a little survey about to get feedback to this event, to know how to move forward with such events in the future. So please take a couple minutes to answer to this survey. It really will be very valuable input and feedback for us, because it was quite, in some extent, new experience to make this webinar. Yes, I will check if we have some questions again already answered.
There is one more question from Oskar Lange.
Yes, I see. Regarding personal code is not security improvement. It's not security improvement. It's user experience improvement, actually. Not claiming that not inputting the personal code is more secure. In some cases, actually, it is. When we are talking about that fraudsters need to ask personal code if they don't know it yet. Of course, if a fraudster already knows personal code, it doesn't help somehow. But yeah, it's more from perspective of user experience and more security improvement.
And it's left open, but it depends. Basically, we're giving opportunity for RPs to choose based on their security model and like their user experience considerations. So it's not like set in stone.
Mm-hmm. And yes, of course, we also are always looking from perspective of Baltic countries. And yes, we already are quite common with using our personal code everywhere. But yes, for another countries, personal code is something secret. They don't reveal to another persons. And there's maybe on these new markets, let's say, it's another, as you mentioned already, Belgium. Yeah. But also in Baltics, I think it's some effect still is there. If you have some questions, we have some new question. Very good question. Thank you, Eva-Lisa, for it's not possible to combine version 3 device link flow with version 2 notification based flow. No, please don't mix up two API versions. If you want to use notification flow, please use new API notification flow. So yeah, it's maybe you can do some this rollout gradually, but what is important, if you are using some specific API version, you can't, for example, call a session request from one version and make another request to another version. So it's they are not somehow don't work together, let's say. But the best choice would be to use version 3 notification flow if you still want to use it. Maybe you can start from, if you're migrating, you can start from migrating from version 2 notification flow to version 3 notification flow and then implement device links. Couple more minutes to ask a question if you have any.
I think we didn't answer properly one of the questions of Hendrik Metspalu. So about the web view approach, because we kind of touched on it, but we didn't go deep in it, I think.
Yeah, maybe we could.
Okay, so I'll just read it. Okay. So SK mentioned that the web view approach does not work with the new API. However, as far as I know, it's possible to enable Smart ID Plus authentication to work within a mobile app's web view by using a custom app callback. After authentication in the Smart ID app, the user is redirected back to mobile app, which then restores the original web view session and continues the authentication flow seamlessly. Did I misunderstand something? Yes, very good question. So basically, in that case, like you have an app, and in that sense, you have a web view inside there, and you're making this request. So basically, it's app to app because you're making the original request from inside an app. But our point was that if you are developing a website and your website is shown inside some app, then you don't have the means to get back inside the original app because you're just a website developer, you don't know anything about the app that contains you. But yes, if you contain both the web view and the app containing it, yes, you can definitely get back to the app and there is no problem at all.
Alexander also answered under this question, so I think hopefully it's covered.
Oh, okay, good. I didn't see.
There's a question about. So there, I see some questions. So, if you can do your RPv3 integration first for the mobile app and then do for the website if that's how you want to do it. The idea is that you shouldn't mix them on one platform or like in one solution, or like the idea is that you migrate away. If you start a new development, you don't mix them. So, for example, don't do authentication with RPv2 and then signing with RPv3. That was the point. answer to Gunther.
Yes, thank you.